Yep, sounds good.
Hello, everybody. Today we are doing the finals of the boxing debate Grand Prix. I'm really excited for this. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have our final matchup. We had a lot of debates go on through this season. We have a $100 prize, and I'm just really excited, guys. It's going to be a 5-round back and forth debate between two titans in the boxing space, and I'm really excited for it. But before we announce the contestants, let's announce quickly our 3 official judges for this. We're going to start off with Mr. Neutral Corner Boxing. Neutral Corner, quickly introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are, your experience in these tournaments.
I'm Mr. Neutral, co-founder of Red Corner Boxing with my man Jams. Many people will know him on X. And yes, you'll know me. He's a straight, no nonsense, down the line. Impress me with your facts, your delivery, and your content, and convince me. That's basically it, and that's what I'm looking for tonight. Glad to be here. Thank you, Max.
Of course, and we're super glad to have you. Thank you for helping out and tuning in. Home of Boxing, our second judge. How are you, my friend?
Oh yeah, hello. Yeah, this is HOB Homo Boxing. I took part as a judge in all 3 debates. I'm glad to be here, and thanks to Max for allowing me to be a judge, and also joined with 2 amazing judges, the Spit Bucket and Nutra's Corner. They know their stuff, very knowledgeable guys. But ready to get these debates going, and let's see who wins the WDC title.
Yes, sir. WDC World Debate Champion. I'm excited for it. Thank you so much for helping out and being a judge. 100% much respect. And JJ Solomon, the Spit Bucket, the best studio in all of boxing right now. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your experience of these debates, etc. Great. Thank you for being here as well.
Thank you, Max. Really appreciate it. An honor to be here on the panel with the rest of these guys. Guys, if y'all haven't followed or liked and the rest of this panel, judges and competitors, y'all go follow them. All great content, all unbiased boxing, good stuff. But guys, look, this is Championship Sunday. At least stateside, Mr. Neutral. It doesn't mean much to you, but it's two big games on this evening. But before all of that, I'm so excited about this championship because you got 2 guys that are great at what they do, passionate about the sport. I told them before we went on, look, I don't care if I agree with the stance or not. I'm coming in with a blank slate. I want to hear you make your point, and that's how I'm judging. I'm super excited. So once again, thanks, Max. Thanks to salute to the other 2 great judges, and congrats to both competitors for getting to this point. Can't wait to see what you guys bring.
Thank you so much, Spit Bucket. Much appreciated. I'm going to put you 3 judges backstage, and then I'm going to do the intros for the final ones. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to hearing your scorecards in between rounds. All right, fellas, this is the finals. Before we begin the finals, let's do some quick introductions. We'll start off with Blunts. Blunts in boxing, the newcomer making it all the way to the finals so far. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your experience in these debates, and just a little bit about yourself as a boxing fan and analyst.
So blunts in boxing, been watching the sport for about 20 years. Um, just truly love this sport. Doing these debates have been great. I went against the former champion of last season and beat him in a very close debate. It was a fantastic one. I'm truly excited for this final. Billionaire boxing, an eloquent guy himself. Very big fan. I think this is going to be a fantastic final. I can't wait.
Thank you so much, my friend. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great debate, and we're about to begin it. But before we start the final introduction, BBTV, Billionaire Boxing TV, making it once again to the finals. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your experience in these debates, and overall yourself as a boxing analyst and fan.
Yo, man, we in the finals once again. It's starting to feel like home. But yeah, bro, BBTV, man, this is BBTV. Been a boxing fan for a long time, bro. Blunts in boxing is one of my good guys, man. And I feel like to win the championship this year, who wouldn't I want to beat other than Blunts in boxing? So this is gonna be great. These tournaments are great, and I'm just ready, man.
Yes, sir. I cannot wait. So, to the 3 judges, we're about to begin with our first topic. To all the fans, we're about to begin with our first topic. So, we will get it going. We're going to start off. Let me make sure that we get it in order. We have 5 rounds with 1 tiebreaker. And our first topic for this debate is Is Canelo Alvarez an all-time great or just the best in a weak era? Blunts in Boxing, you begin. A minute and a half, give or take, uninterrupted. Is Canelo Alvarez an all-time great or just the best in a weak era?
All right, guys. Canelo Alvarez is not an all-time great. In fact, I would say he was one of the best in a wake era. Canelo's kind of in a unique position because when you think of an all-time great, you think of the best in a division or the undoubtable best in an entire generation. And Canelo is not that. In reality, I don't think anybody could ever say Canelo is the best fighter in any division he ever actually fought in. I wouldn't even think he would be top 5. Now, well, his reign at 168 pounds, becoming undisputed, was fantastic. But when you look at what was previously in that deep division, he just does not stack up. The opposition in which he faced does not stack up against the former greats within that division. Canelo is a fantastic fighter in a very weak era of boxing. He was taking up the mantle for 2 all-time great fighters in Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, but he himself, in my opinion, never reached the top and subsequently proved himself to be an all-time great.
Thank you very much, Blunt. Much appreciated. That is his uninterrupted stance. Now, Billionaire Boxing TV, minute and a half, give or take, your stance on this topic. Is Canelo Alvarez an all-time great or just the best in a weak era? Begin.
All right, to say Canelo is an all-time great doesn't diminish anything else anybody else has did. The argument that Canelo is in a weak era isn't a critique of Canelo. It's the lack of respect for the 20-plus world champions he's defeated. History shows that this happens to every dominant fighter. They said it because Larry Holmes fought Ali. They said it because Mayweather because he was too defensive. We only call an era great 20 years later when we realize nobody else could do what the leader did. An all-time great is defined by 3 things: longevity, risk, and dominance. Canelo has been a world champion for over 14 years. He is the first ever undisputed super middleweight champion in a four belt era. He has won world titles in 4 different weight classes. He's never been knocked out, and he has maintained a top 5 pound-for-pound status for over a decade. In an era where stars fight only once a year, Canelo fought 4 times in 11 months during his undisputed run. He started at 147, and he won a title at 175. What are we talking about here?
All right, perfect, Billionaire. Thank you very much. Now we're going to have back and forth conversation. 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, give or take. Blunts, you begin. 3, 2, 1.
So the thing is when we equate an all-time great fighter, you have to have beaten and also proven that you were an all-time great fighter. The thing is, Canelo has never beaten an all-time great fighter. In fact, if you do say he beat one, it's Gennady Golovkin, and he couldn't even do that convincingly. So what exactly weight class?
Before you diminish that victory, though, Blunts, you got to remember that Triple G was undefeated. He was coming off a 5-fight win streak with only a unanimous decision to Danny Jacobs. So I just don't understand why people try to diminish that.
So the thing is and my point is when you're looking at an all-time great, he literally, when we think of all-time greats, we think of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Roberto Duran. These guys could be said to be the best in the history's division. I said that a little bit wrong, but Canelo was never able to prove himself to be that in any of the divisions.
You just said yourself, Triple G, right? Isn't he going to the Hall of Fame?
Now, Triple G is, and that's one of the unique situations, though, in the 2 fights that he fought him in. He never convincingly beat him, and in fact, oftentimes the word was robbery.
But the question is he an all-time great? He did beat him, though, right? Not once.
Yes, he may have beaten him.
Not twice, but twice.
But the thing, yes, he did beat him twice. I do give you that. But the thing is subsequently what's interesting about him as a fighter, you would never place him as the best or even in the top
I
10
mean, he beat more
within
champions
any of the
than Marvin
divisions he
Hagler.
fought in. Even though he's undisputed at 168, it was a very weak era of
He beat more
168
champions than
pounds.
Marvin Hagler.
Yes, but across how many divisions? And then when actually looking at those fighters, did he beat prime or even great fighters? So that's the thing. When we look at those 20 champions, all of them, when you
The thing is,
contextualize those
but
wins, it makes you really consider, is
we
he
can
that
sit
great?
down and we can try to break down each and every one of his wins, but does that not take away from the guys being champions, right? They were champions, right?
They were, but then, like, again, contextualize. Miguel Cotto, probably his best win at middleweight, ironically, was fighting at 155-pound catchweights. So bringing fighters that were middleweights down. And that's his best win, which was very close. Is Miguel Cotto a great or even an all-time great middleweight?
The thing
No.
is, Bloods, outside of these hardcore conversations, people are contextualizing Miguel Cotto's resume that way. They are saying he's one of the best of his era. It's not going to matter 20 years later who they're going to look at his resume and see that Amir Khan was a champion at such and such was a champion at one point, and they're going to say Canelo was the best of his era.
I think in all reality, this is where it's unique. I don't think we ever can put down a fighter as an all-time great. Because remember, all-time great is something that sometimes gets overused. When you think of an all-time great, we think of the names that I just used: Sugar Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, Sugar Ray Leonard,
right, but
Mayweather. Canelo does not position himself in that area because he never was undoubtedly the absolute best in an era. And that's what's unique about him. When he was,
is the face
it
of
was
boxing,
very,
Blunts.
very short-lived.
I have to disagree with you. They was just calling him the face of boxing, Blunts. We can't do that.
Being the face of boxing doesn't make you the absolute best in the division.
What does it make you?
In the history either. That's what's unique about it.
But we're not talking about the best in the division, Blunts. We're talking about the best in the era.
And that's the thing. He wasn't the best of that of this, and that's what's interesting about his case. He has been proven not to be the best of his era. He was never able to solidify himself as the best in even a division. And the one division he was 168 pounds, which was unfortunately very, very weak.
You got to tell us how, Blunts, because Crawford is elite, but he didn't come until he was 36. Canelo became undisputed at 68 and won 4 by 31.
But that's the difference, though, is it not? Is Crawford proved himself without a doubt the best in every division he ever fought in. The absolute best. Beat the best in Ricky Burns and did so convincingly at 135. 140 becomes an undisputed champion and beats everybody in that weight class.
So you didn't.
But would we consider him an all-time great at 140? No. But you look over at what he did to 147. Undoubtedly, one of the greatest ever.
Blunts, Crawford is going to go down as an all-time great, the same as Canelo, and that's my argument.
We good for
and in my argument, yeah, that's good. No, that's good, brother.
All right, perfect. All right, so all three judges, send me your scorecards for round number 1 over XDM. Much appreciated. Round 1 has officially come to a close. Round number 2, Billionaire will have you begin this topic. The topic is boxing too dependent on promoters instead of rankings? So Billionaire Boxing TV, is boxing too dependent on promoters instead of rankings? A minute and a half, give or take, begin.
All right, so the central thesis is that promoters act as gatekeepers to the platforms that generate revenue. Without promoters backing, a high ranking is a paper title that offers no financial security or a path to a championship. The 4 major sanctioning bodies are private, for-profit entities. They earn a percentage of the sanctioning fee for every title. The incentive is they want the most profitable fighters to hold their belts. The result is pliable rankings. Sanctioning bodies leapfrog highly ranked, dangerous, but unmarketable fighters in favor of star fighters who bring in massive live gates and pay-per-views. Look at the WBA's ranking of Jake Paul at number 14 in the cruiserweight division. Paul had no wins over world-ranked boxers. His massive draw prompted a major sanctioning body to grant him a ranking. Promoters use step aside money to bypass rankings and set up more lucrative fights all the time. If rankings were true land of law, money wouldn't be able to bypass a mandatory. Mandatory challenges are like speed limits, blunts, and boxing. They only apply to people who can afford the ticket. And that's my argument.
Much appreciated. Now, round number 2 for blunts. Is boxing too dependent on promoters instead of rankings? Your stance, minute and a half, give or take. Begin.
So in this situation, I would say no. That boxing has not become too dependent on promoters instead of the rankings. And the reason being is we've seen fighters get the much needed and due title shots that they were given. And while, yes, we have seen promoters be able to slowly position their fighters into a title shot, but it's deserved. It's a unique case when we look at promoters in the rankings. And the thing is, when you look at it, it hasn't changed much. We constantly get the fights that we actually truly deserve. Now, if the fighter positions himself to get a number one mandatory shot, if that fighter decides to take step aside money, that is upon the fighter, not the promoter and not the sanctioning body. We are in a sport where you try to make as much money as possible with taking the least amount of damage. And so in this case, when you look at how boxing, we hear that the promoters are taking advantage and positioning certain fighters above others. We have no evidence, true evidence of that, because William Skull should have never been able to take a belt from Canelo Alvarez if it wasn't for the fact that the rankings and promoting bodies work.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for that, blunts. Now back and forth conversation, couple minutes. Billionaire, you begin. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so I guess I'm here trying to get you to understand, Blunts, that I'm not saying that rankings don't matter. I'm saying that boxers depend on their promoters in the sense that if rankings did hold such weight, why wasn't Canelo stripped when David Benavidez was waiting at 168 for nearly 3 years, Blunts?
That's because David Benavidez himself never actually made the moves to get in position for that. That's what's so unique. We live in a sport of boxing, specifically here in the United States, where you have the Muhammad Ali Act that actually works in your favor, where you can actually sue sanctioning bodies, like famously Dillian Whyte did. Dillian Whyte ended up suing the sanctioning body, even though his promoter constantly was working to get him a title shot against Deontay Wilder. So that's the unique thing, is that it's all up to the fighter. The promoters are there to position fighters into that place of getting a title shot. But if the fighter themselves do not subsequently make it wise of a demand, then it's not going to happen.
So who do the rankings actually matter to? If everything is up to the fighter, why aren't the sanctioning bodies upholding their rankings that you're saying is more important than the promotion?
That's what's unique to the situation, is it's up to also the promotion to push for their fighters to have the placement in which they should have. We have famously seen it, Rolly Romero get input into correct placements in the divisions he was in. And what's ironic is people can argue, oh, Rolly didn't deserve that place. But in reality, we aren't looking at what the division was. And Rolly Romero or William Skull or Dillian Whyte or so on and so forth are guys who position themselves into that number one ranking and undoubtedly put themselves in position for a title shot.
All right, so if that's the case, then Blunts, how come we missed out on a lot of fights because of the side of the street conversations? How come during the height of boxing, PBC?
Because the fighters themselves and their management teams never pushed their promoter or the sanctioning body to truly make that fight. That's what I'm starting to realize as a longtime boxing fan.
Right.
that
So
these guys say in front of a camera, this is the fight they want, but they're doing nothing pertaining to litigation to actually make it happen. Because
right, so
why?
litigation.
They'd rather take step aside money because of maybe their willingness or want to rather take a big paycheck and fight somebody who's not going to possibly be.
Right, which that leads more into my point. Blunt's rankings aren't really moving boxing. It's the promotion. It's who got the money right now. Whoever can make it happen, they can make it happen, and that's how it's going right now, brother.
So that's the thing, though. I mean, the rankings are what actually keep the sport together in the aspect where when we see people climb and be put into the right area, we actually, as fans, can argue and see how promotional companies or whatever end up pushing the wrong narratives, push towards the wrong fights. And it's just, that's the thing. It's kind of a unique thing where fighters, I feel like we're seeing more often than not, actually are the ones who are keeping these fights from happening, not the promoters, not the sanctioning bodies.
All right, so my last thing is, how did Jake Paul become ranked at number 14? If rankings matter so much, who did he beat?
Just how bad cruiserweight really is. That's how we got there.
Okay,
Because that's the thing. When you look at Rolly Romero at 140 pounds, when he got there, he was positioned into a number one spot to fight for a title. But how bad was 140 pounds when he got that title shot? There was little to nobody. It was a barren wasteland. So it's just, we got to look at it like that sometimes as fans. Just really look at it and be like, determine, like, is it really that these guys are being positioned unfairly? Or is it just that division isn't that good?
We truly would never know that unless he actually fought who was there at the time to actually gauge that, though, Blunt. So we'll just have to say that the rankings are a little fixed towards promotional favoritism in a sense. Rolly just came in and started getting title shots, just like Ryan coming off of suspension, getting title shots. And morale, that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But since he generates money, it's the right thing to do in today's age of boxing, brother.
Any final points?
Well, I see some of what you say, but we constantly see how that kind of is different, because there are dudes who don't make money, who aren't worth big money, who are positioning themselves into title shots, like Murtazaliev coming up next week, like Raymond Muratalia. These guys aren't big names. Are they not? But they did the right thing, were brought up the rankings the correct way. The promoters ended up pushing them the right way. And then boom, you get a fight, and look at that.
All right, fellas, I guess that comes to a close of round number 2. All 3 judges send me your scorecards for round number 2 on X message. Much appreciated, guys. We're going to go into round number 3. This topic is a little interesting sounding, so I'll quickly explain it. The topic is, was Deontay Wilder exposed, or did he just meet a bad stylistic matchup? And specifically, what we're more referencing is, when it comes to Deontay Wilder's skill level and his all-time great status, specifically when it came to the downfall of his career after fighting Tyson Fury, was it due to the fact that he was never as good as we thought he was, or was Tyson Fury just stylistically the man to dethrone Deontay Wilder and send him down this downward spiral? So, was Deontay Wilder exposed, or did he just meet a bad stylistic matchup? Blunts, your stance, and you get to begin. Minute and a half, give or take. Go ahead.
So, in my opinion, when you look at Deontay Wilder and his story, it is a story of somebody who was, in a nice way, exposed. Unfortunately, we saw somebody with a lack of fundamentals. The man started professionally at a very old age compared to his contemporaries, and started professional in his 20s, like mid-20s. Now, the thing is what we ended up seeing was exactly what we always hear from boxing pundits, that late starters have issues growing and evolving. And that's exactly what we saw with Deontay Wilder. He never evolved. His fundamentals never evolved. And in fact, we could argue that they actually diminished with what skills he did have. And that's what exactly you would call an exposed fighter. His skills were exposed. He fell in love with that power, that devastating all-time great power. And unfortunately, it just later on in his career got proven to be not enough at the elite level against elite contemporaries.
Much appreciated. Thank you for that. Billionaire Boxing TV, your stance, a minute and a half, give or take. 3, 2, 1, begin.
All right, so exposed implies that a fighter is a fraud, and I feel like you can't be a fraud with a 91% KO ratio. Wilder's power alone is a stylistic trait itself. It forces opponents to fight a perfect fight. One mistake and fans are exposed to a KO. I'm gonna have to argue that Wilder's losses came to the literal worst possible architects for his style. Fury is 6'9" with an 85-inch reach. Wilder's entire games rely on being a tall man who controls range to get his big shot off. Fury took that away. And you just simply can't expose somebody being a 270-pound freak of nature who can move like a middleweight. Parker used Fury's blueprint, kinda. He moved laterally, never standing still long enough for Wilder to set his feet. This isn't exposing Wilder. This is a specific tactical method that normal heavyweights can't use because they don't have the cardio or discipline to do this for 12 rounds. All right. Zhang is a massive southpaw with Olympic level fundamentals. Left hand power hitters are always nightmares for 1-2 fighters like Deontay Wilder. Like I said, in every sport, we got a specialist, and they always look bad the night they tools get neutralized. And that's simply what happened to Deontay Wilder.
Thank you for that. Now back and forth conversation. Blunts, you begin. 3, 2, 1.
So the thing is we can't say that it was a stylistic thing, because Wilder has always had issues with his fundamentals. And the thing is as age comes, he should have evolved as a fighter, but we never saw Wilder evolve. We have seen individuals who started late, much like Wilder. Anthony Joshua famously, I believe, started at the exact same age as Deontay Wilder, but his fighting style evolved, his technique evolved, his fundamentals evolved.
See,
while Wilder fell in love with that power.
Deontay Wilder's style was he only had to be right for 1 second. He didn't have to have.
And it's the same thing with Joshua. Joshua, even though I wouldn't say he had as devastating as power, he had very good elite power. But the difference is Joshua never fell in love with that power.
All right, so
he evolved that technique.
Would you consider Luis Ortiz a good boxer?
I would consider Luis Ortiz a great boxer, but that's the thing.
So with that being said, though, let me finish my point real quick. He had Wilder hurt for most of the fight in both fights, did he not?
He definitely did. And he was getting outboxed in both those fights.
A fighter who gets exposed ain't gonna get hurt in the 7th round, last 3 more rounds, and knock you out in the 10th.
So this is where it's a unique thing. The best we ever saw Wilder fundamentally pertaining to his skill level was Bermain Stavern in the first fight, where he actually used his jab, distance, footwork. We never saw it again.
I'm just saying, man.
Years later.
You just got to look at it like this. He ran into better competition at some point in his career, but I mean, 21st round KOs, and at some point in his career, he started weighing significantly less than his opponents. Like, that's not getting exposed. That's just a guy who ran into better competition.
Let me give you an example. Ray Mercer started even later as a professional boxer and amateur. Started in his late mid-20s. Ray evolved. We saw Wilder start late, get into the amateur program, get a bronze medalist, I believe, quicker than any amateur boxer in the history of the United States. But yet also was brought up very slowly in the professional ranks in order to allow him to evolve into the fighter that he could become. But he never did. He still swung wide, never actually learned subtle techniques to become a better boxer.
When Adrian Broner fought Marcos Maidana, that's getting exposed. But like I said, what happened to Deontay Wilder is we had a champion who reigned for a long time until he ran into a big dog that had a bigger bite than him. And that's just it, man. You don't have that 44 wins with 42 knockouts by accident.
No, you definitely don't have it by accident. You have it by a perfect system of having a fighter grow and how putting them in the perfect fights. That's how you get to that level of knockouts in a career.
But you know that
With
always
all
don't
due
work.
respect, I think without a doubt, Wilder has one of the most inspiring stories in boxing history, in recent boxing history. But in all reality, he was the fighter who never evolved,
I'm just
never
saying,
actually
Blunts,
learned his trait.
for a guy
I
to
mean,
take on boxing at 20 years old, earn a bronze medal, and making as far as he did, it's not by coincidence.
no, it's definitely not by coincidence. And I don't think there's an argument against that. But we can definitely say that he was exposed because, again, he never evolved. He was the same fighter that won the WBC title against Bermain Stavern that he ended up losing against Zhang. That was the same fighter, technically, because he never evolved.
He
As a
evolved and he peaked.
high-level championship boxer,
He
you should
evolved.
evolve from the
He,
time you're amateur
he
to a
evolved and he
champion.
peaked, Blunts. That's all that happens. He evolved and he peaked. He ran into bigger, better competition, and he didn't know what to do with him. But Deontay had a great career, and he was a great champion, nonetheless.
In all reality, that's the one thing. You said better competition. But that's a better competition in one of the weakest eras in heavyweight boxing history.
I'm starting to realize it's always going to be a weak era to a nostalgia-stricken fan.
That was well said. I give you that. But it is just a reality of the situation. We have seen other fighters who started late, evolved, grew, technically became better boxers. Wilder never did. And that is the definition of being exposed. Never growing, staying the same, and falling in love with the one true gift you have and letting it completely override everything else.
Hey, man, while I die on this hill, that right hand was the highlight of his career, and he just met his match.
Any final points, fellas? Or is that all?
No, I think that's good.
All right, perfect. So, judges, send me your scorecards for round number 3. Much appreciated, guys. We're heading into round number 4. Topic number 4. This is probably my favorite one. Who is the most overrated champion in the last 20 years? Specifically, the names that you both gave me, Tyson Fury versus Adrian Broner. Who is more overrated out of the two in the last 20 years? To reiterate it, who is the most overrated champion in the last 20 years, Tyson Fury or Adrian Broner? BBTV, you begin. Go ahead.
All right, so this one is actually funny, too, because Marcos Maidana exposed Adrian Broner, all right? Broner was meticulously marketed as the heir to Floyd Mayweather. He had the money persona, the shoulder roll, and he had a way with words for sure. But in reality, he was just a flash. He lacked discipline and he lacked fundamental. Just a crazy person. Most of Broner's dominance occurred in the super featherweight division, where he was significantly larger than his opponents. Every time AB faced an elite prime fighter in their natural weight class, he lost. He is 1-4-1 in career-defining fights. At least Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko and ended his 10-year reign, and he was undefeated. Tyson Fury was undefeated for 15 years. And just like we just said, Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder 3 times. Tyson Fury may be polarizing, but he went to Germany and dethroned the legendary champion to start his run. Adrian Broner spent a decade trying to convince us he was Floyd Mayweather while losing every single fight that mattered.
Thank you. I assume that's all. Thank you for that one. Blunts, you have a minute and a half, give or take. Your stance, Tyson Fury versus Adrian Broner, most overrated in the last 20 years. Go ahead.
All right, let me give an example of what overrated truly is. Tyson Fury. What a overrated fighter. At one point in time, Tyson famously ended up punching himself doing an uppercut. Hilarious, right? Let me get to the point. Tyson, his biggest win wrapped in controversy. Unfortunately, Tyson, after beating Klitschko, which was brought up earlier, he ended up being popped dirty for PEDs. Ended up taking a significant amount of time off of the ring, coming back to fight 2 low-level contenders, and then to beat Deontay Wilder, or not beat Deontay Wilder, go to a draw with Deontay Wilder, one of what is considered to be one of the most least skilled heavyweights champions in the history of boxing. He ends up going and then almost losing to Francis Ngannou, the UFC heavyweight champion who was inactive because of promotional issues and, in all reality, not a boxer. Fury, while had a fantastic run, he was always highly overrated by the journal from boxing journalism. He ended up getting put into the pound-for-pound rankings for beating Deontay Wilder in their second fight, unbeknownst, and also won Fighter of the Year for beating Deontay Wilder. So who could we really consider to be really, truly overrated? Tyson Fury, whose biggest win is, again, wrapped up in controversy because of PEDs, who ends up coming back, and his biggest win to date is the guy that most boxing media, historians, anybody you can think of that has a respected opinion calls that Deontay Wilder, with all due respect, the least technically sound heavyweight champion in boxing history. Tyson Fury.
Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Back and forth conversation now. Billionaire, you begin. 3, 2, 1.
All right, so you keep throwing that fluff in there about PEDs, but was that fight ever reversed, Blunts in boxing?
No, it was never reversed. But then again, we're talking about the. So what's unique about that situation is, again, we bring that fight up. It's also being recorded as one of the least amount of punches thrown in heavyweight championship history. It's also being widely regarded to anybody who saw that fight as one of the most boring heavyweight title fights in history.
Adrian Broner won a vacant title for his first belt.
Okay. What does that mean? Nothing necessarily, because in all reality,
and he won a vacant title for his four. He a paper division champion of 4 titles. Like, that's what it is. Like, he won a lot of.
You know what? And paper titles, that is something. But so did Canelo Alvarez, who was earlier being brought up as an all-time great.
Talking about Canelo.
So that's what's so unique. One thing about Adrian Broner is he actually was able to perform an act that we rarely see in the sport. That's jumping up 2 weight classes and beating a champion for their belt. He did that against Paulie Malignaggi. And that was Paulie, who was still very much so a threat to the welterweight division. So much so that actually Floyd didn't want that fight because Paulie, because of his hand speed, his output was just too much.
Because he was still significantly bigger than Paulie, was he not?
No, not necessarily. Because consider this. Again, you're talking about Adrian Broner, who started at 130 pounds and then moved up to 135, beating a very solid fighter in Antonio DeMarco, who had beaten in such devastating fashion Linares before.
He took Paulie girl, so Paulie wasn't really in that fight because he was really distracted. You got to remember that part too.
I give you that. That is quite a distraction. But if you really look at Tyson, and let me explain overrated. Somebody who is being put in a position that he is undeserving of. Tyson never deserved Fighter of the Year next to Teofimo Lopez by beating Deontay Wilder. Shouldn't have happened. But being given a top pound-for-pound position.
Look, he's
by beating a man who's 40 to 60 pounds lighter than you.
He still,
and not just that, who is
you got to remember, people gave Deontay Wilder a fair chance, Blunts.
So that's what's unique, my brother. Is when you watch how the people spoke about Deontay, how ESPN, how Ring all spoke about Deontay Wilder as being the least skilled heavyweight champion in history. That all of a sudden he beats him and then is given a position in the top pound-for-pound rankings. You understand how that could be considered overrated?
But see, that's the thing, though, Blunts. At least Tyson Fury has one of those kind of fights. Adrian Broner never met that moment in his career. When he did, he got his ass whooped every time.
See, that's what's unique, though. He never really truly did. It's overvalued because of the people who hate Adrian. But in all of his fights, if you really look at it, the Pacquiao fight, the Sean Porter fight, even you bring up the Maidana fight, Those were close fights.
So would you agree to me at the time that Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury, he was the man in the heavyweight division?
No, that was Anthony Joshua. We always forget that Tyson Fury kept taking time out of the ring because of issues outside the ring, but yet kept getting preferential treatment.
Deontay Wilder was Anthony Joshua was the man over Deontay?
Oh, without a doubt. Yes. Anthony Joshua was always considered to be the better of the two solely because of, again, fundamentals.
But
everybody saw what Joshua had pertaining to being a power puncher, but also having great technique.
Nah, they were
so
both.
He was always put above.
They were both on the same lines. But I have to say that Deontay Wilder was arguably the bigger fighter at the time. That's just one of the fights that we never got to see.
I just don't believe so. But again, it's the point that Fury beating somebody who was widely regarded as, and I'll keep saying it, one of the least skilled fighters, was suddenly put in position to win Fighter of the Year.
For sure. But
also win, or not win, but be put into the top 10 pound for pound rankings. Pound for pound. Does that just mean that time, how bad boxing was?
Does that take away what he was able to accomplish for 10 years, Blunt? Him being least skilled.
10 years. In those 10 years, he only fought 6 times.
That doesn't matter.
You know what I'm saying? He took so much time off because of mental health issues, drug issues, PED issues. When he did come back, his most defining win was Deontay Wilder. Outside of that, it was past it, Dillian White, who had been subsequently knocked out several times before.
Right, and Adrian Broner Adrian Broner couldn't even be his Dillian White. But that's my point. Adrian Broner has to be the most overrated boxer.
No, Adrian Broner has actually good wins, though. That's the difference. Adrian has wins that ended up actually
so Vladimir
showing
Klitschko,
to be great wins.
Vladimir Klitschko not a good win?
Again, did Adrian pop hot after the Antonio DeMarco win?
No. Answer my question. Vladimir Klitschko not a good win?
The name is good, but the actual performance and subsequently what came after pertaining to a bad PED test, it doesn't look good.
Was Deontay Wilder not undefeated at the time when they fought?
Yes, he was, but was
all I'm saying all I'm saying
we're talking about undefeated records.
A good win is a little blended compared to what's on paper, Blunts.
The reality is, Adrian Broner did fantastic things in the sport and did things that very few all-time greats even are capable of doing. And I'll keep bringing that up. The two-division weight jump, we give Terrence Crawford all the love for it. But Adrian Broner, overrated.
Marcos Maidana looked like a baby 2 times. Floyd Mayweather.
Marcus Maidana, who almost beat Floyd in their first fight. We'll just ignore that, though.
Doesn't count.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
No,
because he still wears that tooth around his neck.
No, Blunt, I could have almost died this morning, but I'm alive. They don't count, brother.
Oh, it definitely does. and that's the thing. Again, Tyson Fury, most overrated fighter we've had the last 20 years because he was put down as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time with Muhammad Ali. Yeah, people were saying that. People were putting him over Teofimo Lopez by beating Deontay Wilder. Do we know who Teofimo beat for that Fighter of the Year? Lomachenko.
Yeah, Blunt.
He was put in the pound-for-pound rankings by outweighing every opponent he's ever faced.
We know you know.
Put in the pound-for-pound rankings.
We know you know your stuff, bro. We know it. But you are not proving your case any further that Adrian Broner was not the greatest overrated fighter of the last 20 years.
But that's the thing, again. Adrian Broner never was given a Fighter of the Year by beating Paulie Malignaggi. He was never given a top 10 pound-for-pound ranking by beating Antonio DeMarco. You know how he got in that pound-for-pound ranking? By jumping 2 weight classes to beat Paulie at welterweight. That was pound-for-pound worthy for Adrian Broner and everybody who was watching him at that point. Tyson Fury was put in the pound-for-pound rankings by beating Deontay Wilder. Let that sink in. That's what you call an overrated win.
Anything else, guys, or we're done? for round 4. All right. So all judges send me your scorecard for round number 4. Round number 4 concludes. Final round. The topic will be, did boxing benefit or suffer from the rise of influencer/crossover fights? Blunts, will begin with you. Did boxing benefit or suffer from the rise of influencer/crossover fighters?
So if you look at it, in my opinion, it's completely dirtied the waters and has done more bad than good. Just this last weekend, there was a influencer show with the headline of Adam 22. I don't know this guy's real name, versus the dude. I'm not even going to get into the storylines. Boxing never had this before. It has completely dirtied the water, made our sport look completely disgusting, and at point has actually devalued the sport of boxing. Has not grown it, because the kids who watch influencer boxing have not moved over to watching professional boxing. It has dirtied our sport. Now, to a degree, the one positive that anybody could ever say was Jake Paul having a significant amount of people watch him beat Mike Tyson and subsequently say, this is fake. There's more negative things that have come along with influencer boxing than positives. Again, the people watching influencer boxing are not watching the sport of professional boxing.
Great points and great round from Blunts. Next to Billionaire Boxing TV. Minute and a half, 2 minutes, give or take. Your stance. Are influencer fighters/fights helping or hurting the sport of boxing? You begin.
All right, so this is always a topic of purists who make these claims but can't ever show any evidence to where it's actually hurting the sports outside of fields. So for decades, boxing has been described as a dying sport. Influencer and crossover boxing haven't ruined the sport by any means. They just changed the way people looked at it. And they brought a shit ton of money. Tyson and Paul broke the Texas Gate record and drew 108 million live viewers on Netflix. On that same card, 2 of the greatest female boxers in history earned their biggest paydays. Influencer boxing has provided the revenue to pay the real fighters, and it has ensured a future for boxing, an audience for boxing's future. They may show up for Jake Paul, but eventually they get exposed to real boxing. All right, they may see 2 rappers fighting in the beginning, but they get exposed to real boxing at some point. They leave knowing what a jab is, what a southpaw is, and a few of them might even look further in it to look into more professional boxing. I think that it brings eyes to the sport, and it generates a ton of revenue that we need to keep pushing the sport forward. It's a money game. If it was actually hurting the sport, people wouldn't be spending their money to see it.
Thank you for that. Great points as well. We're going to do our back and forth conversation and close out a couple minutes. Back and forth. Blunts, you begin. 3, 2, 1.
So that's my point earlier, was what kids are watching Adam 22 get knocked out are coming over to watch the sport of boxing, the actual sport of boxing, the real professional sport of boxing. None of them. They're watching it for the drama. They're not watching it for the sport or what it is.
But tell me this, how is Adam 22 fighting hurting the sport of boxing?
It's hurting it because it's making a mockery of the sport. That's exactly what it is. It's making a mockery of our sport.
You don't think people can tell the difference between the two?
What I'm going to ask you a quick one too. My thing is, the biggest crossover fight in boxing was Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. The consensus leaving the end of that fight was, this is fake. In fact, if you look at it, we see Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, and it makes it even more of a joke.
So tell me this, Blunts. Did Mike Tyson fighting Muhammad Ali fighting Antonio Inoki, did that hurt the sport of boxing?
I would say it somewhat did, because you know what? It didn't happen again for almost 3 decades.
That fight happened in
We never had another
1976, though.
crossover fight in boxing for 3 decades.
All I'm saying is, Blunts, to say that it's actually hurting the sport of boxing with no real claims is kind of egregious.
I'll say how it hurts the sport by the terms we hear at the end of the fights. It's fake, or even what rides into the beginning of those fights. Is it scripted? That's not a good thing for the sport of boxing.
Do you have any fiscal proof that is interrupting the flow of money? Because that's what it's all about. People are still spending money for both, Blunts.
No, and again, the kids that are watching and the people who are watching Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson, Anthony Joshua, are not turning over to watch professional boxing.
But
now, do we have in the case of Anthony Joshua getting attention of women? Yes, but they're not going to go and watch Anthony Joshua's next fight.
You never know, Blunts. You can't make that claim on your own. See, when Misfits brought their first event to the Zone, 90% of the people that subscribed for that event, because it did 2.1 million viewers, they weren't even the Zone subscribers. That's a win for boxing right there.
So again, though, that's what's so unique about the case. You brought that up. Is DAZN not struggling still? If all that money that was being pulled in from Misfits Boxing was actually doing so well, would DAZN still be struggling?
It seemed like everybody's struggling except Ring Magazine, all the top ranked.
Yeah, that's oil money. But that's the thing. So crossover fights, I think when you really look at it, if we're talking crossover fights in the aspect of influencer boxing, it does worse for the sport. When it comes to crossover boxing and we're talking about mixed martial arts, fighting boxers,
so generating
it's even shown that doesn't do anything.
You saying generated money is a bad thing?
I'm generating money with it later being described as a fallacy. Then yes, I will say that it's not good. It's good for the monetary value of the individuals involved with that fight, but not the fans and not the growth of the sport.
If influencer boxing is killing the sport, why are professional world champions and prospects trying to get on the cards, Blunts?
Nobody is trying to get on. I shouldn't say that. Okay, let me properly say this. The reason, and you know what? That's a promotional company run by an influencer. But if you listen to what he says, this is a boxing promotion. This is professional boxing promotion. He is not. It's one of those situations where if we really look at it, the growth of fighters, if we look at Amanda Serrano 2 that took place on Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. It had one of the highest views in women's boxing history.
I'm just saying, Blunt.
And then it drops in the third, and that
athletes wouldn't have to go to YouTube to get it. So
this is a great example, though. We have Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, who literally got so many eyes on them, and you had a vast proportion of fans saying, "Oh, this is one of the greatest women fights I've ever seen," even though they probably never watched women fight in their life. Did that actually translate to the third fight? No, it actually didn't.
You jumped all the way to the third fight. What about the second fight?
That's what I meant. The second fight, which took place on what? The Jake Paul, Mike Tyson card, where it was the most viewed women's fight in boxing history.
Right.
And then the third fight happens. It did nothing to actually. What I'm trying to say is that fight, even though it was viewed by so many people on a Jake Paul, Mike Tyson card, it didn't translate to the general public. Well, they didn't come back to see the third fight.
I just gotta fact check you on that, because you did say the third fight first. In the second fight, it was the most viewed fight in women's history. Man, you got to get your facts together.
The second fight is the most viewed fight in women's boxing fight in the history of women's boxing.
Right.
The third fight dropped so dramatically. I believe it made about a third, or even maybe a fifth of what the second fight did. So my point is, though, is where are the people who are watching Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul? Where were those
Ryan
fans?
Garcia and Barrios? They watching Ryan Garcia on kick, punch, Gorlock in her gut. That's where they
Yeah, but
are,
those,
man. That's where
but those are
boxing
two
is now,
boxers.
Blunts. That's
Those are
where
two
boxing is.
boxers. Those are two boxers. Like that's my
Listen,
point though. Like this crossover thing, in all
listen. My
reality,
thing is,
it's just
Blunts.
not
In a,
improving the sport of boxing. It is
just
not
tell me this,
actually
Blunts.
growing our sport.
Just tell me this. In a world where attention is the most valuable currency, right? How doesn't boxing benefit from what influencers are doing?
Because the fact that Misfits boxing will get 2 million pay-per-view buys, and then an actual boxing show struggles to maintain 100K.
I'm just saying though, when Mike
How is
Tyson
that?
knocked
How is
out Corey
boxing
Sanders,
actually growing
it
if
didn't ruin boxing.
these if it is how is it improving the actual sport of boxing if those fans still have not transitioned over to real professional boxing?
I'm just saying, Blunts,
Because
when
we
Mike
haven't
Tyson
seen
dropped
a
Corey
growth.
Sanders, it didn't stop boxing. When
We
Pacquiao fight
haven't
Adu,
actually
it didn't
seen
stop
a
boxing.
growth since the inception of influencer boxing.
It's bringing in money though, and that's evident.
But that doesn't do nothing for the growth of the sport. That's just lining the pockets of the dudes who are fighting and the people who are putting on the show. That isn't necessarily actually growing our sport.
So influencer boxing isn't necessarily hurting the sport. You agree, right?
I do believe to a degree it's hurting our sport because it's not growing. And in fact, if anything, for the general public who are watching influencer boxing, they think that the sport of boxing is a joke.
So just one last question, and we can go. Can you show me a case where it's directly hurting the sport, an article, anything?
I got one for it. I actually cannot give you an article because how are they going to want to show?
Blunts?
How is there an ability to actually show without reasonable doubt that it has dropped? My point is you can see to a degree in the aspect that we will see misfits boxing outperform real boxing. How is that bettering the sport? Because we aren't seeing it translate to the actual sport of boxing. The sport of boxing is still struggling to sell.
Show me.
But your misfits boxing is still putting on great shows and able to sell to the general public pertaining to young kids. But those young kids aren't going to go buy a ticket to a real boxing show.
I'm just saying
that's not doing positives for our sport. That's not even really, you can say it's even growing. That's my point. Is like the growth of boxing, it should to a degree. We should see boxing grow if influencer boxing was actually positive for the sport.
Final points.
But we haven't seen it grow.
All right, fellas. Thank you so much for that. The three judges, send me your scorecard for the final round. Much appreciated, guys. And then I'll be able to quickly announce how the judges have had it. So let's see. Great debate, fellas.
Yeah, good stuff, Blunts.
You got me on number 2, man. I kind of went blank on that one, brother. But that was a great debate, man. You always keep it you always come ready. I appreciate that.
All right. So we have 1 score, 2. Wow, what a great debate. I'm going to announce the final outcome. We have a winner, and then I'm going to have you guys talk before the judges just so you guys can go home. You know what I mean? So we go to the score totals. Neutral corner scores about 48-48 even. Spit Bucket Podcast scores about 47-46. And Home of Boxing scores about 49-46 for our winner by majority decision and the new WDC champion, Billionaire Boxing TV. BBTV gets the job done by majority decision. Great debate, guys. Lots of fun. 1 point difference is what made the difference for this being a victory or a draw going to tiebreaker. Great stuff, guys. BBTV gets the victory in a very competitive, very good debate. I thought it was razor close, and I'm really happy. So before we have the judges explain their scorecards, because I know I'm going to do it a little different and have the guys talk first. Billionaire Boxing TV, you get the job done this time. You win by majority decision, and you win your first tournament. How are you feeling, brother? Talk to us.
I ain't gonna lie, man. This is the most nervous I've ever been in my life, bro. Like, Blunts, bro, you had me against the fence, bro. Since we picked our topics, bro, I've been I've been sitting here trying to figure out how to get ahead of you, how to get around you. I just really wanted to show Blunts my bag in the debate because I feel like he's super duper knowledgeable. So I just really wanted to show him my debating skills, bro. But a great debate nonetheless.
100% BBTV. We loved having you on, brother. You get the job done. And before you go, I want to ask, because we're planning on bringing this back in March, what role would you like to have in the March tournament?
Oh man, you know I wanted to win the title and go ahead, chill, man. Let the other contestants do their thing. So judging, co-hosting, wherever you like to have me, brother, I'm down.
100%. You'll definitely be involved. Thank you so much, Billions. Much appreciated. Any final messages, or you're done for now?
Oh man, everybody, I had a good time, man. This is BBTV Blunts. You know I love you, man. You my brother, Max. You my guy. All the judges, man. Let's get back to boxing.
Much respect, brother. Thank you so much for coming on and supporting the tournament, and congratulations on getting the victory, my friend. See you soon.
Thank you.
All right, Blunts, you get second place, razor close, majority decision defeat. Thank you so much for being involved. Just talk to us. The floor is yours. The stage is yours on your, post-debate thoughts.
So I gotta say, I couldn't have lost to a more genuine fucking person, more genuine boxing fan than Billionaire. So I'm glad to a degree that's who I got to lose to. To the judges, I appreciate all three of you, man. Neutral, very close friend of mine ever since I came around to the boxing Twitter spaces. Spit Bucket, man, every interaction I've ever had with you is just legitimately awesome. You are a gem in our community. I appreciate you. Home of boxing, man. This is brand new dealing with you. So I just want to say welcome, and I hope to continue to see you around. Max, dude, brother, I got to say, you are, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but Max, man, you are a very awesome individual. I've appreciated this opportunity, and you will forever have my support. And I mean that, forever.
Thank you so much, my friend. We all really appreciate your words, and, truly, vice versa as well. You'll always have my support as well, and you're always welcome in these tournaments. And, if you ever need anything, always feel free to reach out. And I really appreciate you being involved. You did a tremendous job, and much respect to you as well, my friend. Thank you so much, brother. And if there's any other final thoughts you want to say before you wrap up to all the fans, all the people watching, let us know as well.
Man, the weekly wrap up every Monday. Please come check it out. We just open forum talking about the sport of boxing, what predictions, results. Everybody can grab a mic. I'm always happy to just talk the sport of boxing. Appreciate you guys.
Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll speak very soon. Thank you so much, brother. All right, to the three judges, let's quickly get a little analysis from each of you and your thoughts. You guys waited an hour, so I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you guys being involved, and I think all three of you did a great job. Personally, I had it 48-47 for Billionaire. I had it at 1 point difference. It was a very close debate. Could have gone either way. I think round 2 and round 5 were not round 2, I'm sorry. I think it was round 3. I forgot which round. The round 5 was a swing round, and there was one other. It might have been round 2 as well. Very close debate overall, though. A lot of fun. We'll start off with Mr. Neutral. You had it a draw, 48-48. Just tell us your post-match recap and why you scored it the way you did.
Aye, first and foremost, it's always difficult for a UK guy to, judge debates on American topics. So it's very difficult. I know both guys, love them both, absolutely superb knowledge. What a debate. They both brought the fire. It was incredible. Round 1, Billionaire was on fire. He brought some great facts to his first round and easily outpointed Blunts in that first round. He had great delivery, but his definition issues about all-time great or just in the era were a bit rocky for me. Round 2 was a bit of what I call a swing round because it was a close round. The WBA and the WBC are more political when it comes to promoters. The IBF and the WBO, no, they're straight down the line, getting the mandatories ordered, all the rest of it. So rankings do matter in that aspect. They don't hold the sway over everything, the promoters. However, it's worked for 100 years. and it's developed, where the big promoters always umbrella all the small promoters at the same time. But the thing is, WBC, where Billionaires thing fell apart in the second round was the Canelo example. Promoters get you there, but sanctioning bodies do political things, especially with homegrown Mexican boxers. And I'm sorry to say that, when the WBC comes to Mexican boxers, they are absolutely biased. And if Benavidez has only pressed that button, then that fight would have happened. So that's not down to the promoters, that's down to the sanctioning bodies. So I'll give that round to Blunt. Round 3 was Deontay Wilder exposed or not? No, absolutely not. Golden Glove amateur, bronze medalist, Olympic, 5-year champion, Hall of Fame, future, Hall of Famer, edged out Olympic champion Chakiev, who went on to become Olympic champion. And he's got that pedigree, Wilder. So I don't agree with Blunt on that one. Round 4, I give it a draw. Neither were overrated. Broner, 319 amateur career, 4-weight world champion. How can you be overrated? Tyson Fury, he's amateur honours, 2 times lineal, unified champion. He's beat all that was presented to him at the time. Only the great Alexander Usyk has dealt with him. Is that exposed? No, I don't think so. Draw that round. And round 5, I do not agree that with Billionaire, that crossover boxing. Using Jake Paul as an example is a microcosm, because there's no other Jake Pauls. If you just talk about crossover boxing, as a whole, you get these fighters who go on the Misfits and they start calling out real boxers. No, I get it, what it is. Back in decades ago, there was only 2 branches of combat, and that was wrestling and boxing. Now there's about 14 branches of combat, and the pool of fans that have grown up through the decades have split. And what looks good to a younger generation at Misfits with the hardcore doesn't wash. So I believe they will. Boxing does suffer for that. Jake Paul, he's cleverly using his own influencer plus his MVB pro promotions to, do a double thing at the same time. You won't see another Jake Paul ever again after he's finished. So, I give that a round to Blunt, and that's how I had 48-48. But what a debate. Very difficult to judge. Absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't like to be the next guy that comes up against these 2 gentlemen, because you're going to have your work cut out. And Blunt's absolutely superb for his first time effort on World DC Debate Championships. Absolutely splendid performance. And Billionaire showing why he's the champion.
There we go, man. Thank you so much for that analysis. Really appreciate having you. You've been a tremendous help, and you've done a great job breaking down your points. And we're really excited to have you more involved, hopefully some point in March, maybe judging, maybe competing some form. But it was great to have you once again, my friend. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day, my friend. All right, JJ Solomon, the spit bucket, the man himself. You had this fight very close. You had 2 10-8 rounds, which, I'll be objective, is interesting because no one else had any of the rounds 10-8, but you had 2. Break those 2 10-8 rounds and your scorecard of 47-46 for Billionaire Boxing TV.
For sure, man. I'll do it. Yeah, this was first off, again, thanks for having me on, Max. I really appreciate it. But salute to both guys. I knew this one was going to be close. Round 1, I'll breeze through it. I had this one 10-9 for Billionaire. And I'll for the sake of time, Blunt kept focusing on absolute best of his era, and that's not what we're necessarily talking. All-time great doesn't necessarily mean there's one every 10 years. Otherwise we would only have 8 all-time greats on any of our conversations. He kept focusing on absolute best. Look, I'm not the biggest Canelo fan, but I think Ace did enough. Ace at Billionaire did enough to make his point there. Round 2, dog, Blunt's, I feel like he fell asleep. That was my 10-8 round for for Billionaire. And contrary to what Neutral said, because I agree with what Neutral is saying, but I'm talking about this debate. Blunt was almost wasting a lot of time. Billionaire came out swinging. He brought up Jake Paul and step aside money, and it seemed like Blunt never did anything. Like, how did Jake Paul become ranked? And all of a sudden he fights a heavyweight champ, and then all of a sudden he's unranked on the cruiserweight list. So he never really truly addressed what Billionaire was talking. Billionaire did a brilliant job of opening with Jake Paul and closing with Jake Paul because he knew that was essentially promoters working. I agree with Neutral what he was saying. I just don't think that Blunt's did a good job proving it. Honestly, I don't think Blunt's woke up yet. But then round three happened. And it was the Wilder exposed round. And dude, it's almost as if Ace would. I gave this round 10-8 for Blunt. Let me read my notes real quick. When Billionaire closed it out with it didn't happen by accident, and Blunt's countered with, "You're exactly right. It was a perfect system." And then Billionaire started blaming Fury's size. Then he started blaming Parker's skills, and then started blaming Zhang's skills. It proved Blunt's point that Wilder got to a point where there was zero evolution. Blunt did a hell of a job of explaining other guys' evolution in the sport and how Wilder didn't evolve after his accolades in the Olympics. I just think he did a hell of a job, and every point that Billionaire was making almost was proven was Blunt's point. So hold on, I'm getting through this. Like I said, these guys came prepared. I want to make sure I do my due diligence and show them what I did. So round 4, most overrated champ in history, and this was essentially between Fury and Broner. Jesus Christ, Blunt's kept listing everything good Fury did. So while you were trying to discredit Tyson Fury, you spent so much time on his accolades. And I know the debate was, were those accolades worthy? But you didn't really spend much time besides shitting on Deontay Wilder. You literally described a rise and fall journey when describing Tyson Fury. You described going down to drugs and all of this, and then you explained a resurrection that we all saw Adrian Broner never ever had. So I think you literally gave that round to him. I did give it 10-9 though, and then the last round, round 5, I gave this one to Blunt because at the end of the day, Ace, Billionaire, my bad, that's my boy Ace. So, but I got to call him by his TV name, BBTV, Billionaire. I was giving this to Blunt early, but when Billionaire came and hit him with the, damn it, hold on. I had it here. Has it hurt the sport? Fiscally, has it hurt? Both guys couldn't really prove the point. Like, yeah, maybe it makes a little bit of money, but is it growing the sport? Blunt did a hell of a job of growing it. So it came to the point where, okay, if there's no real proof that it's hurting it, both guys acknowledged in this round how important opinions were. Ace literally said, or Billionaire literally said, it's about opinions. And we cannot look, all of us boxing fans cannot honestly say that when we leave a Jake Paul fight, we ask, is it fake? Is this fight going to be fake? Everybody was wondering, is the Anthony Joshua fight going to be fake? And that opinion to me hurts the sport more than any dollar amount could possibly grow it. So that I gave that to Blunt. But by that point, it was too little, too late. 47-46, a lot of heavy hitting. We saw 2 knockdowns. Hell of a fight, man. But had to give it to the champ, Billionaire Boxing. Congratulations, bro. Salute. Hell of a debate. You guys came ready.
That was amazing, man. Great analysis. Great debate. So much fun doing these. And I'll be honest, Spit Bucket, we may need you to possibly make a return one of these days, man.
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. And listen, I may have overlooked Billionaire because look, I'm not too afraid to admit it. I got beat by Billionaire Boxing in my first
By
ever debate.
this much. By
Yeah.
this, I mean, tiebreaker. I think it was like 39-38 Billionaire, 39-38 JJ, and then 39-38. Like, it was that close. And we never got to see we never got to see the entire toolbox of JJ Solomon. But listen, we're probably not going to have Billionaire in the next tournament. He's going to take it off. We're probably not going to have How Boxing Works in the next tournament. He's probably going to take it off. So we're going to need some new blood back in the mix. We're going to have a great March tournament, and I'd love to have you involved.
I see a man in the comments that I would love to chit chat with. I see Mr. Remy himself right there that I would love to have a chit chat with. He'll bring the heat.
There's a lot of big names out there, man. A lot of guys to debate. So I'm really excited for the March one. I'm going to promote it more. But thank you so much, JJ. It was much appreciated. We got to collaborate as well soon. Maybe something for Tiafimo Shakur or one of these events. But much appreciated, my friend. Let's talk very soon. And I really appreciate having you judging.
Appreciate you guys. Y'all enjoy y'all's week and stay safe out there,
brother. And the last judge, home of boxing, my good friend. You had the fight 49-46 for Billionaire. Can you break down why you scored it the way you did in your post-match assessment?
Oh, hello. Yeah, I'll try to be quick since we just had two amazing comments from those two judges. But yeah, from round one, I give it a 10-9, Billionaire Boxing. I felt like he was giving out good facts. He was explaining how Canelo has never been knocked down or knocked out. And Canelo fought 4 times in a year for Undisputed. And he explained how he started from 147 to 175. And I felt like Blunt and Boxing wasn't really able to get his point out. He wasn't really sure how to rebuttal back. And that round, I gave the Billionaire Boxing. And then round 2, I had it 10-9 Blunt and Boxing. I felt like he was giving out good points. He was stating that fighters choose if they want to accept step aside winning. And that is true. That is up to the fighter. It's not really up to the promoter or the rankings. That comes down to the fighter. So that one, I gave that round to Blunt and Boxing. And then round 3, this was another good one. I gave it a Billionaire Boxing, though, 10-9. He had good facts. He was explaining how Wilder only began to lose when he started to fight competitions that were bad stylistic for him. And he had 44 wins and 42 KOs. I would say that's a pretty good stat. We don't see any boxers nowadays with those stats. So he was really giving out good facts and explaining how Wilder only lost to tough competition. So I gave that round Billionaire Boxing. And then the next round, I gave that also to Billionaire Boxing. Who's a more overstated, Tyson Fury or Adrian Broner. They were both giving out good points. I just felt that Blunt and Boxing got a bit stuck explaining, or how Spitbucket was saying, talking more about Wilder. He wasn't really talking too much about Adrian Broner. While Blunt and Boxing was really giving out his points on Tyson Fury. He was able to explain the type of fights he's been in, and that he was able to beat 2 top heavyweight in his division, while Adrian Broner wasn't able to really beat any top contenders. So I gave that round Billionaire Boxing. And then the final round, I also gave that to Billionaire Boxing. I felt like he had a good point. Many are benefit. It brings more money to the sport, so I see that. I feel like that's a benefit. Don't see it being a reason it's suffering. That doesn't suffer boxing. And we also seen recently, I think Chisora might be fighting Wilder on a Misfits card. So I felt like Billionaire Boxing had the better point, giving out that it doesn't help. It does help. It doesn't ruin boxing. If anything, it brings more eyes. He also explained how the women's fight had the most had the most views, and that broke records, and that was due to Jake Paul helping with the influencer side. So that's where I gave him that round. And yeah, that was pretty much how I gave them rounds too. And Billionaire Boxing really did a great job.
Thank you so much, my friend. Great assessment, great analysis, and I really appreciate you being involved, competing, and judging. Much appreciated, my friend, and definitely we're going to talk soon. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate you, Max. Thanks for allowing me to be a judge and be with the 2 amazing hosts, or 2 amazing judges as well, the Spitbucket and Nutra Corner. And any other future debates or events, would definitely be down to be a part of. Appreciate you guys, and congrats to the new WDC champion.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, my friend. Much appreciated. We'll talk very soon. Have a good one, brother.
Yep, you as well.
All right, guys, comes to a close. Second round of the Boxing Debate Grand Prix, the World Debate Championship. We have a new winner this season. Last season, How Boxing Works was our first winner, defeating Billionaire in the finals. And this time, Billionaire makes it back to the finals and gets the victory against Blunts Boxing. It was a great debate. It was a great tournament. I had so much fun being involved. I'm truly passionate about these. I think these are so fun to see the matchups, to see the clashes, to see the judges and their scorecards. It's a bunch of fun. And guys, I'm going to let you guys know right now, no sugarcoating. We're taking February off and we're going to be back in March. We're going to begin this in March and it's going to be our spring season, season number 3. So make sure to tune in March for the next round of these tournaments. Thank you so much to everyone that tuned in. Thank you to everyone that competed and thank you to everyone that judged and was involved. God bless and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.